What's going on, Haas?
What's up, Rich? Sorry for the wait. Sorry for the wait. I know everyone's been waiting on this one, but we had our first basketball game of the season, and I worked the games and even watched them from the side. And we finally got done about 20 minutes ago when I popped in through my phone while I was driving home. And you know how they say don't try this at home, like don't wrestle in the backyard? Well, don't try and stream and drive at the same time.
No, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
But
that's a
yeah.
big no-no.
But I saw on social media the state of Texas. I figured you knew about it before me. They announced they were going to do Eddie Guerrero Day today, even though his anniversary of his death came on Thursday, November 13th. State of Texas declared Eddie Guerrero Day would be November 18th, and I said that would be the perfect day to stream and have another topic in mind because we all loved Eddie. We all probably got some good stories about him and whatnot. And I said that'd be the perfect time to come back on Talk a Wrestling Show, do something nostalgic, like go back and talk about one of the all-time greats that we've lost too soon. And I said I've always wanted to talk about Eddie in some way or some fashion on Driving to the Top Productions, and I said let me call somebody. I know he's got some stories, and I brought Dan back, and Dan did the Hulk Hogan tribute show with me along with Freddie, and he nailed it out the park. We pulled some viewers in and everything, and I said we got to get him on for that. Plus, future reference, Dan's going to come back on when we do our John Cena farewell tribute show the week of Saturday night's main event in December.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a plan, man.
excited about it. Yeah, I'm excited to
So
talk about
welcome
this
back,
tonight. So
Dan. By the way,
yeah,
Dan was. You got to just real quick. You got to tell us what it was like. You were in Boston last week when he became a Grand Slam champion, beat Dominic Mysterio, finally got that IC title. I know the atmosphere was insane, but from your perspective, what was that moment like? What was that whole night like in general, being there for his final Raw in Boston?
yeah. I mean, it was no mistake about it. I don't want to. I'm a guy that's always respect John Cena. I have booed John Cena a lot of my life, just because of my probably demographic. But it was. I am a John Cena fan. I have become a John Cena fan over like probably like the last decade. But not that I wasn't a fan before. But honestly, it was really people were excited, and I mean it was a hot crowd. Um, it was really just the beginning of the show, right? Like when they did that opening thing with Dominic Mysterio, everybody's pretty amped up. Triple H says, John Cena's hometown. Triple H is from my hometown, Nashua, New Hampshire, and he makes no reference to that ever. So, which is just about as far away as West Newbury is. But, I thought that was a good opener. I didn't think they were gonna do the title switch. I thought there'd be kind of a schmoz to end it. So then when Cena picked up Dominic for the AA, which for a 49-year-old man to deadlift, a 28-year-old man off the ground is pretty impressive, still for him. And yeah, that place went nuts. I mean, if you can see that on my videos on my Facebook, I didn't made an album from it. I'm going nuts, and you can see my phone get hit out of my hand and me just catch it
I
right
was
back
wondering what
into his
happened right
corner.
there. I was like,
Yeah,
did
that
he drop it? I didn't realize
the
someone
guy.
knocked it out of your hand.
Yeah, the guy in front of me went nuts, so it knocked out, and I just got it, and I kept the video going, and yeah, I mean, dude, it was electric. I will say this, like after that, I was kind of ready to go home. The rest of Raw, really, I like the segment with Punk and everything, but if I could have left after that, honestly, and that was worth the price of admission right there. I didn't pay the $300. We waited for tickets to drop a little bit. We got them
Wow.
for 70, um, which was
Yeah,
not
that's
bad.
that's TKO for you. When I went to SmackDown in New Orleans, where we got the phony WrestleMania announcement, I think I paid $56 to be there for that phony announcement. But got to see The Rock come out to the block is hot.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I was willing to. I think my price limit to go to that was going to be about $100. When my brother said he found a deal for 70, I said, "All right, we got to do this," and I'm really glad I got to be there because, yeah, to me he is he's on the Rushmore of wrestling. A lot of people saying he's the GOAT. To me, he's on the Rushmore. I take The Rock off and I stick Cena in there, but he's not the greatest of all time, in my opinion. But he is one of them. So
Well, from one guy being claimed the GOAT to another who's been claimed as one of the greatest of all time, give me, for both of y'all, I guess we'll start with Dan first. Give me your take of remembering the first time you saw Eddie Guerrero, like something you can share the very first time you saw him.
yeah, I mean, the first time that I ever saw Eddie Guerrero would have been in, and I've talked about this a lot. 1995. I didn't know anything about ECW until 97 when ECW had debuted on Monday Night Raw, and that was kind of my first introduction to that. But I was watching WCW Saturday night on the Mothership 605 with Dusty, and I think Dusty might have been a commentary. I believe it was Dusty and Shivani that night. But yeah, he wrestled Chris Benoit, I believe, in the main event, and they put on this match that as I think I'm about 11, maybe 10 or 11 at the time. And if you knew what wrestling was like in 95, it was pretty slow. There was a lot of big guys. I hadn't really seen a match like that outside of like watching Bret Hart wrestle Owen Hart. You know what I mean? So it was just this is before false finishes were the obsession in wrestling, and they threw a lot of those in there. So I never really seen that kind of style. And I know that after that night, and they did like a WCW Saturday Night review on that at the end of the year, and I was like, that was like a standout moment. And moving forward, like Eddie and Benoit were like two guys that I was just rooting for after that, as a young kid. You knew like when I was a kid, like you knew who the main event guys were. Like you understood it was Hogan, it was Savage, it was Flair, but you wanted to see those other guys get up there with them eventually. And those were two right there that I'd go on to follow rest of their career, rest of their lives after that.
What about you, Rich? What was the first time you remember seeing Eddie Guerrero?
I did a little bit of tape trading in my, so I got a chance to see him as Black Tiger a couple of times in New Japan.
Okay.
But to actually see a real, this is Eddie Guerrero match was ECW when he was wrestling Dean Malenko and when he was wrestling Psychosis and Rey Mysterio. And, you're watching ECW and you're seeing all this Sandman and Dudley Boys and all the the chairs and the table, all that, the hardcore stuff, and then you see these guys go. And I don't know about you guys, but ECW for me was on Saturday nights at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
I would be able to watch World Class from 10 to midnight, and then I'd flip around the channels, and about every other week I'd be able to get ECW on one of the channels. Um, but watching him against Malenko, if you get a chance to see some of those matches between him and Malenko in ECW, or him and Ray, um, or even him and Too Cold Scorpio, uh,
Mm.
are just classically and ridiculously good. People think that they high fly and move and all that kind of stuff now. This is where it started, just with guys like Eddie.
Well, the first time I ever saw him in person, I'm gonna go back to 1999. I saw him when he was still in WCW. I went to a double taping of Thunder here in Lafayette in the summer of '99, and on the first taping, I got to see him wrestle Psychosis. And then this was LWO Eddie Guerrero. Like this when he come out with the LWO shirt. He had the hair like Dominic, the mustache and all that. He had the LWO had that theme that Shovel used as a singles guy on SmackDown for a bit. Where it almost kind of sounds like a rip-off version of Lowrider.
Dun,
Mhm.
dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun, dun,
yeah,
dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I
that one.
remember that.
not the one, not the shovel before that one.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
remember that theme very well.
uh, I saw him wrestle twice in one night for two tapes in the same night. I saw him wrestle Psychosis for the first taping, and the second tape, and I got to see him wrestle Ultimate Dragon, which was pretty cool. Uh, First time I saw him in WWE was a following year. This is when he was in the Love Connection with China, and China interfered to go after Trish, and Val Venus attacked her, and Eddie Kane interfered to come in her aid. And that was the first time I saw him in the WWF world was when he came in China's aid after a match. And Terrell went
Mamacita.
forward then. Mm-hmm. Those are like the Latino Heat stuff.
Which is maybe my favorite Eddie. At least the start of like the character development of Eddie. I mean, he really started to because if you remember Guerrero kind of early on in WCW, right? Not a talker, not a talker. But towards the end of his WCW, which I have some stuff we'll probably talk about, he started developing a voice, right, with the Latino World Order and all that. And he really took that into WWE, and you were like, oh, this guy's not just a wrestler. Like he kind of started to show that he was the total package of a wrestler, mic skills and character development in WWE or WWF at the time.
Well, and he kind of had to be because whenever they went to WWE, you look at who was there. Perry Saturn had the mic skills of the broomstick he was carrying around.
Poppy.
Yeah,
Benoit is not very, let's be honest. Benoit is great in the ring, terrible on the
yeah,
mic. Malenko, same thing. So Eddie had to be the personality of the Rascals, and he had to be that mouthpiece, and you could see he's like you said, he started developing it when they were getting ready to leave WCW. And then whenever they got to WWE, he just kept getting better and better and better. And of course, he had better people to work with, and you could just see that progression. And he got to where by the time it was all said and done, he was one of the best guys on the roster.
without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, he really is a guy though. Like for me as like a young kid watching it, and it's tragically how it ended, but like really got to see his evolution over the years, which was, and I've seen it with a lot of other wrestlers, but like when I first started watching Hulk Hogan as a kid, Hulk Hogan was already a star, right? Like I watched Eddie Guerrero go from just being a guy to being one of the top guys, which, and I've seen with many since, but I gotta say, like, to me as a fan, even after all these years, the ascension of Benoit and Guerrero is still, and I know we're going to talk about it, like one of my favorite things that's happened as being a fan. I know there's been tragedy after, but like seeing those guys get to the top was, I don't know, there's something about it, you know?
But you want to go back. You want to go back 20 years ago around this time. What do you remember that day when you found out what happened and the tribute show the following day? Like, did you? How emotional were you seeing that? Like, 'cause to me, I felt like that was it. That was one of the most saddest tribute shows I ever saw, alongside the Owen Hart one. I feel like them two were the worst ones I've ever saw when it comes to emotions. Like, I was a wreck for both of them. But well, I'll start with Rich on this one first. What do you remember the day you found out about Eddie's passing and that tribute show they did on Raw the next night?
Man, when I found out, it was one that I could put up there with when I found out Bruiser Brody died, when I found out Kerry had died, Owen Hart. You know, to a lesser degree, Owen Hart though, because the Owen thing happening the way it happened, it's like holy crap. It's more of a shock thing. With this, you're just cruising. It's not shock; it's surprise. You know, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean Eddie's dead? And you see it on the news, and at that point in time we didn't have 96 different social media platforms, and you saw it on the news, and you're waiting for another update to find out what's going on. And then the tribute show, I thought Vince did a tremendous job of laying it out. And the guys, you could tell. I mean, even the Owen thing, you could tell what an impact Eddie had had on these guys' lives. From Angle to Triple H to Benoit to JBL to, yeah, I mean,
Rey
the list goes on
Mysterio,
and on.
Big
Yeah,
Show.
he had that effect and was just a big part of all these people's lives. And then he's gone. And he had gotten himself straightened out. He had been clean and sober for a little over 3 years at that point, had finally gotten everything back together with Vicky. And, life was good again for Eddie. And then all of a sudden to have that taken away, it was really, really a tough deal to see. Um, but yeah, I thought they handled the tribute show very well, because it had been really rough for those guys to be able to wrestle that night.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan. Me yours.
Yeah, I think I think I was home for the weekend from college, and I must have logged into WWE.com, I think, because it wasn't like now where everything had a Facebook was like just a brand new thing. Like I might have had a Facebook for like a couple months before that happened. I don't remember seeing it
Wasn't
This
there.
was
I
MySpace
remember,
a
this
big
was
deal back then?
this was
yeah,
MySpace days though. Like I don't think I got Facebook till '07. This was like MySpace was just getting big.
yeah, like
Yeah.
well, back then Facebook, your college had to have Facebook, and Plymouth State, where I went, had it. So I had a Facebook, but I don't remember anything being on there. So I think I saw it on there, and I remember just being like, "Oh my god!" And it immediately, it didn't feel like Owen. Owen, that was shocking. That was live on a pay per view. I don't think anything will be as shocking as that. Um, but well, Benoit, but that was that's a whole nother thing. Um, but it reminded me of like Pillman and Louis Piccoli and guys on active rosters that were there one week, right, and they're just gone. And I was just very shocked because, yeah, Eddie had like there was a time where I was kind of like bitter with watching wrestling. Like it became WWE, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that entertainment was in the name. I didn't like the brand split. So like 2003, I wasn't watching a lot. And what pulled me back in was when I found out Guerrero was facing Brock for the title. And when he won, I was like, oh, I'm in. I was like, if Eddie Guerrero can be the champion, right? Like, this is a new era of wrestling, you know? And so I was hooked on it. So I was just very sad. And I remember watching the tribute show from my girlfriend at the time, her dorm room up in college. And, I think was that the only time HBK wrestled Mysterio? I remember that. Um, I remember just
Might
how
have been.
sad. I think that's the only time they ever faced. I can't think of another time, but I just remember just being really like like, oh, this sucks. Like he's gone and he's gone forever. And I can't remember if Stephanie said it that night or another time, but she gave an interview or something at some point where she said, Eddie wanted to be champion again. And I really thought um, he was doing something with Batista at the time. So I was like, yeah, he's
Mhm.
going to be the world champion again, like, and then he was just gone. And it kind of got me because, he was doing like a heel run at the time, which didn't feel like what you wanted out of Eddie, but he was showing signs of going back to being a babyface. And, he passed away at that point. So, yeah, it was just a lot of sadness. I remember specifically how broken up Benoit was in his interview, foreshadowing really what we didn't know was going to turn to something very dark.
A lot of people say Benoit never recovered from Eddie dying.
Yeah, the way his emotions were, especially in that video, those little backstage videos they used to do. He like,
Uh,
well, before I give you my take of how I reacted when I found out the news, maybe one of y'all can explain better, like about how you kind of brought it up about before his passing. The plan was they were planning on putting the belt back on him, They were literally gonna do it that week in Minneapolis. I don't know if it would have been on SmackDown or Raw. And then there was rumors of maybe him winning the Rumble, going after the title at WrestleMania. Then I've heard rumors he was supposed to fight Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22. So I don't know if y'all have heard those rumors or what would have happened if he was still would have been here today. I don't know if any of y'all can refresh that memory of a idea they wanted to pull out before we lost him.
Him and Michaels would have been like Angle and Michaels, right? That dream match. That it would have been another one on Shawn Michaels' list of here's his return and just having this incredible second career. You know, yeah, there was so much he had left to do. You know,
Yeah.
About you, Rich? Anything?
I I had heard the Shawn Michaels thing. And there was I remember they were I remember somebody telling me who the heck was telling who had told me about it. But it was one of the guys that I had worked with that was in the know. And that there was supposed to be a triple threat between Orton, Batista, and Eddie, where Eddie was supposed to get the title back. I don't know what show that was supposed to be on, but that was one of the plans was to have a triple threat between those three. Um, I don't think it was for supposed to be on a pay per view, but
I think it was
and
SmackDown.
then you have other people that tell you, they'll tell you, nah, there was no plans for him to become champion again. He was just a transitional champ. Nah, the
Uh,
way the crowd reacted to him, he had a rocket ship strapped to his back so tight it didn't matter. He probably got the biggest reaction of anybody in the company at that point. Um, so I mean, like I say, I heard the Michaels rumor, but I never really heard any backing to it. The triple threat deal with winning it from Batista and Orton, I did hear that one, and it had some legs because I had heard they were developing it to that point. But I couldn't tell you that's 1,000% gospel.
well, and
well,
I have heard stories that Guerrero it was more of a Guerrero choice to drop that title, the WWE title when he
Mm-hmm.
had it. Because I mean, he really should have had it for most of that year, but I don't know if that's true or not.
He should have, yeah.
so for me, um, I I didn't find out about it till the Monday morning when I went to school because I don't know. I guess it was just a normal Sunday for me watching NFL. Like I didn't never turn on the news or nothing. I don't even recall if I ever came across the news and it popped up. I didn't find out till I got to school the next morning. And one of my buddies that I randomly talk wrestling to, he walked past me, and then he was just like, "Man, that sucks about Eddie Guerrero." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Did he get hurt or something?" They're like, "No, he died." And I'm like, "What?" And I couldn't wait to get to like my computer lab classes. That was the first thing I did when I got there. I got on WWE.com, and sure enough, that was the big headline. It had a headshot of him, and it had "Rest in Peace, Eddie Guerrero, 1967
Seven.
to 2005." He was 38 years old, and I'm like, he's the same age as my parents, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm freaking out, like, what happened to him? And then I've heard the rumors it was a heart attack, or someone's brought up OD. I'm like, there's no way overdose. He's been clean for 3 years. He's not on it again. I believe the heart attack part. Like I
It
didn't.
was a heart attack.
All I remember from Dark Side of the Ring was Chavo found him unconscious in his hotel bathroom, and he was somewhat still alive at the time until the ambulance got there. Then he passed away when the ambulance were on their way while he was brushing his teeth for the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a dark cloud over my head because I kept thinking about Owen's death all over again. And sure enough, when I turned Raw on, when they were all standing there on the front of the stage and they had his lowrider in the corner, and seeing like I said, Triple H, Ray, Benoit, Kurt, Big Show, Charmel, Dean Malenko,
Mm-hmm.
who else? Chavo. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is real. And then you see people in the stands in tears. And yeah, Vince's words were like, that was probably the only time I would ever acknowledge Vince. With all the crazy stuff he's done, he gave out a great introduction for Eddie. I didn't lose it until that tribute. I'll still never. They played "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, and that hit me so hard in that tribute video. I damn near cried. And then my mom and them were looking at me like, "Why are you crying?" And then mom's like, "Oh, a wrestler died." And then when she saw everyone's reactions, like, this ain't no fake shit. Someone really died, and then she felt bad for me because every time they showed a superstar talking backstage, crying and like the Benoit one had me harder than Ray's and Batista's. Then she felt
Yeah.
sorry for me, and then she apologized to me. She's like, "I'm sorry. I thought this was a fake thing." Like, she even apologized to me. She thought all this was fake. She didn't realize someone really died, and it was someone I enjoyed watching. And they didn't even did a tribute for SmackDown, where Batista opened up,
Uh-huh.
come out the Lowrider, and broke out. And now, if I was watching TNA pay per views at the time, TNA made the announcement where I think it really went viral on their Genesis pay per view. The same night Christian Cage made his TNA debut, they said they announced it at the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
show, and they did a tribute video for him too. And when I went back and watched that Genesis pay per view a couple years ago, they used "Here Without You" by Three Doors Down for his tribute video, and I broke down again. I'm like, oh my god, y'all know how to make a grown man cry picking songs for tribute videos.
Well, and the funny part is, despite everything that's gone on the last 20 years and all the guys that have come and that have gone in the last 20 years, there's only one that they still do. You'll see the guys doing this, or you'll see, the frog splash, that
Coming out in a
Dom's doing
car,
or
low
whatever.
rider.
There's still guys showing tribute to Eddie Guerrero 20 years after the fact.
Can I name two
That
people?
says something.
Like
There's
two people, for example. I know people don't really like her because she's going taking an Ultimo Dragon route, but I remember Sasha or Mercedes. Her ring attire for WrestleMania 32 was a tribute to Eddie. Mike Santana's gear
yeah.
in TNA is tribute to Eddie. And
Hmm.
over the year, I don't know. As much as I hate this guy or we don't like talking about him, but didn't Alberto Del Rio get coming out in fancy car things from Eddie?
He did. He got part of that, a chunk of that entrance from Eddie, but you know, of course, you see the stuff that Ray is still doing and Dominic is doing, and those guys, you kind of expect it from them, but when you see some of the other guys doing it, um, as goofy and as irrelevant as Santos Escobar is, if you've ever noticed, he does a lot of Eddie mannerisms. Um, Heck, the Intercontinental title match with Cena and Mysterio, they did the Eddie chair thing.
I love when they do
Where
that. And, Dominic is basically, people say Dominic's the reincarnation of Eddie Guerrero, basically.
He does a lot for Yeah, I mean, he's just someone that it's just not forgotten, and different circumstances. But he also had the death where WWE, in my opinion, did a lot of wrong later with his passing. The storylines and things like that that I thought even at the time were, some of it was in good taste, some of it was in really bad. Um,
Yeah, I didn't like how they made Randy Orton say he ain't up there in heaven watching you, Ray. He's down. I didn't like that.
I was watching that SmackDown and was like, I was so uncomfortable watching, as someone with my own Christian background, to hear that about someone who really did pass, even in a storyline, really uncomfortable.
Another
You know,
and
another thing I didn't like.
the bad part about that though, guys, that's exactly what Vince wanted.
I'll tell
yeah,
you.
He
No, I'll tell you
wanted
what.
you to be uncomfortable. He wanted you to be out of your comfort zone.
No,
which
I'll.
I agree, but it's like it just bad taste. And a lot of people say, "Well, Eddie would have loved this." I
Oh,
go,
I agree.
He's not here to say that, and
No, but
there was a lot that was just in that time period that I don't know. I
well,
mean, it is what it is, but
here's one thing that really That's been really made me upset the week of his death, like the SmackDown tribute show, because they had his lowrider in the aisleway when Batista opened up the show. They left his lowrider in the middle of the aisle where wrestlers can walk past it, get into the ring, or done with their match. Some, Batista put the big gold belt on the hood. Some wrestlers put T-shirts on the hood or whatnot. I think what really made me upset, because I noticed, I'm like, where's all the stuff at? They let Ray fought Shawn on the Raw show, but it didn't close out. Cena closed out. I forgot who he closed out with, but they let Ray close out the SmackDown show with Big Show. What really made me mad was when Ray went to do a dive off the top where he was going to land right on his face. Big Show called him and power bombed him on the hood of that lowrider, and it pissed me off. Like, he had a lot
Yeah,
of booze for that. I didn't like
yeah,
that.
it was odd. Sorry, go ahead.
I will. Okay, so we can kind of name
No,
and
I
run
was
them
just
down.
looking at something. Because I was pulling this up. Do you realize? My goodness, and I really got to look at this again and make sure this is 100% correct. But do you realize between 2003 and 2004 we lost Kurt Hennig, Miss Elizabeth, Hawk, and Eddie Guerrero
I think Big Boss Man's in there too.
and Bossman? Yeah.
I
Are
think
we naming just
04.
WWE guys, or are you naming any wrestler in general?
Well, it's the mainstream wrestlers.
What about? Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say you got to throw Crash Holly in there. He died in '03. You're throwing anybody else from other
Didn't Louis
promotions? Oh,
Spicoli die in 03? Hmm?
Spicoli died in '98. I want to say he was on
Oh, okay, it was
Nitro. You
before
remember
that.
he was in the corner of Scott Hall. Was having the match with Sabisco, and
um,
he died like some kind of drug overdose, I believe.
I
Yeah.
don't know how
Yeah,
many.
it was.
I don't know. I don't recall how many wrestling deaths they had in '05, but there's only two I always remember: Eddie's and Chris Candido's.
Yes, Candido. That one was very. That's
That
just
was a
like
fluke.
unlucky. Wow,
And he
that
was
one.
remember he was supposed to work with was it Lance Storm at One Night Stand, and he got replaced by Jericho.
Yep.
He was under contract with TNA though at the time because he got hurt in TNA when that happened.
Yeah.
He broke his foot or something, and he
He
basically,
broke his leg and
yeah.
mm-hmm,
If he didn't get on the
landed weird.
plane, they say if he doesn't get on the plane, he would have been okay.
Yeah, yeah, because whenever you put a rod in, which they had to do for his leg, when you put the rod in, you have to let it settle. And that change in air pressure of the airplane, it wasn't the ride itself, it was the change of pressure in the plane triggered an infection in his leg. And
Wow.
that killed, but yeah, in '05 we lost Guerrero, Candido, Lord Alfred Hayes, and the
Mm.
Crusher.
Oh wow.
And that was just the beginning because the next couple of years weren't going to get any better, you know.
Oh no,
No,
especially
Yeah.
in '07, which that was Bam Bam Bigelow, Chris Benoit. Who
Mike
else was
Awesome, I
'07?
think.
Mike Awesome was '07. Um,
yeah,
remember Mike Awesome and Bam Bam Bigelow was the same month.
Yeah, that I think Mike Awesome was a suicide, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his
it
was Bam
was.
Bam Bigelow. I think was something to do with his past.
Some of the
Something was.
drug. I mean, I think it was drugs. He was not in a good. He was. If you watch the Dark Side of the Ring, he was not in a good place at the end of his life.
Oh, by the way, they announced a
What?
season
Oh,
seven's coming, but no episodes announcements yet.
you mentioned '07. How about this? Arnold Skolland, Bad News Brown, Bam Bam Bigelow, Bronco Lubitsch. A lot of people don't know who Bronco Lubitsch is. He was a great wrestler, but was a referee in world class for years. Some guy named Benoit, Coco Samoa, Crush, Ernie Ladd, Fabulous Moolah,
That's right. Ernie
John
Ladd was
Cronus,
07.
John Cronus from the Pit Bulls, Mike
And from
Awesome, of
ECW,
course,
but he was an
Nancy,
eliminator too, right? John Cross was also an eliminator with
or
Saturn.
Eliminator. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sherry Martel and the
Oh,
Missing Link.
That was all '07. Wow.
That was all '07.
I remember
yeah.
when Ernie passed away, that was all over the state of Louisiana because he was Louisiana legend. Like that was like a big national tragedy in the state of Louisiana when Ernie
I
passed
mean,
away.
the thing
On
about
2 levels, football and
Football and
wrestling.
wrestling. Yeah, he played for Grambling. They called McMahon gave him the nickname the Big Cat because he played for Grambling State.
I'll tell you later with Mike Awesome's passing, like the more they learned about Benoit and CTE and stuff like that, you look back at Mike Awesome and you go, you just thought, oh man, he must have been depressed. His wrestling, you know how many unprotected chair shots that guy took? Like, and that we
Yep.
loved his matches with Masato Tanaka. And I look back and I'm like, those are some of my favorite matches. And I go, that probably helped lead to his suicide.
There was another one that I can't believe Masato Tanaka is still around.
I think he still wrestles, if I'm not mistaken, or from time to time
He's
I
too.
got to be
believe
like
you are
he's got to be in his
correct. Yeah.
'60s. He's got to be
Yeah,
in his '60s now.
I
That
mean,
that match at One Night Stand with Mike Awesome in '05, it was like a holy crap for me. Like, how did he get up from all landing on his head and from that powerbomb off the apron through the table and the chair
well,
shots,
they
the
did
awesome
exactly
bomb?
what they did exactly what they did in the heyday of ECW. I mean, those two to this day, their matches are some of my favorites. But I look back at them now and I go, if we only knew, you know.
Well, speaking of favorite matches, I mean, you don't have to name five. You can name at least three if you like. Give me some of your favorite Eddie Guerrero matches. Start with Dan.
I mean, obviously that first match that I saw on WCW Saturday Night with Benoit, that's got to be one of my favorites. I actually found it on YouTube recently. Um, I loved the match he did with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20 with the shoe spot, where I actually wouldn't even, that could have main evented the show easily. If they were doing 2 nights back then, that would have been night 1 or 2
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Um,
No question.
Halloween Havoc with Rey Mysterio, I think that's a lot of times people's favorite matches that he had. I look back too, and I know it's not like a pay per view people really like or look back fondly on, but Sold Out. I think it was the first Sold Out they did, where like he won up the NWO. He got a win versus Six on their pay per view, which if I'm not mistaken, NWO lost most of the matches on that pay per view, but it's neither here nor there. So those are up there. Um, I mean, it's hard not to put the match on with Brock because the winning the title and how crazy that crowd, went. And like, I mean, like I said, that sucked me right back into wrestling. Like that was just, I didn't think he could beat, who would have thought he would beat Brock Lesnar on a pay-per-view to win the WWE title? Like you can't, that's as good as it gets. And honestly, a lot of stuff, and I don't have a specific one, but I mean, a lot of the stuff he did with China was definitely pretty entertaining
Yeah.
television with the back and forth, the Intercontinental title. So those are some of mine.
All right, Rich, what you got?
A couple of mine are the same ones that he mentioned. I loved the match. I mean, it was bloody as all get out, but the bull rope match he had with JBL,
Okay, that
where
where he
he
got
just
screwed.
bled all over the place.
I thought that was Judgment
You
Day
know,
for when he took that chair shot and he was just a bloodbath.
Yeah.
yeah, there was that one too.
Okay, so you're
Um,
talking about the bash, the bull
I'm
rope
talking,
bash.
yeah, I'm talking about the one he had with JBL. Uh, the parking lot match he had with Cena,
Mm.
I thought was really good. That was one of my. He had a match. Um, I want to say it was '01 or '02 with Rob Van Dam.
And a fan got in the ring.
It was the ladder match. That's on my list. Went for the IC title.
Yeah,
He just won
that
it
to
from
me was a
a match booed by a
was a
fan.
phenomenal match.
And that's when he just came back.
Yeah, he came
Right?
back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He
And
came back
then,
like
do you
in
guys remember there was a four-way that they did? And I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was a title on the line, but it was Eddie, Edge, Angle, Benoit.
Was that
the only.
SmackDown?
It had to been the only
It was on
4-way.
SmackDown. It was in '02. And there wasn't a title on the line. If I remember right, Eddie was like the European champion or some craziness like that at that point. You know, he had some mid-level title. But those four guys, I mean, come on. Give me a better foursome to throw in the ring together against each other. Um and not be a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, because the only 4-way I remember him ever being in was the one he did with Jericho, Benoit, and X Pac at No Way Out 2001 for the IC title, and the 4-way he did with JBL, Booker T, and Undertaker at Armageddon '04. It's the only 4-ways I
Yeah.
remember he was ever in. All right, mine. I mean, two y'all have mentioned. I mean, the greatest ever was the title versus match with Ray at Halloween Havoc '97 for the cruiserweight title, and it was named Match of the Year. The one y'all brought up, the ladder match. I think it was a ladder match, the one with RVD where the fan got involved and damn near ruined a great
I think
match.
that's right.
Eddie just won that title from RVD at Backlash '02, which that was a good match, but it didn't make the list. I think it was either the next night on Raw or like a week later because they had a trilogy from Backlash, Raw, and Judgment Day '02, and Eddie won 2 out of 3. Or actually, he actually won all 3 matches because all 3 of the title was on the line. Yeah, that ladder match on Raw with RVD was a great one.
Which, if you look
That
back too, that's like a dream match at that point,
yeah.
right? Like ECW versus WCW right there. You know what I mean?
Um, I also loved, if you remember, this was when SmackDown got a shift change with the sun and the ring going with silver aprons and ring ropes and that side miniature on that no disqualification match he had with Edge in September of 2002, where Edge won the match with the execution off the top of a ladder. It was a no DQ match. I think it followed Unforgiven '02 when they had their match in Unforgiven. That was a favorite of mine. And they gave it 5 stars. Like that no DQ match he had with Edge on SmackDown gave us 5 stars. Um, Another one I'm gonna throw in that's kind of no one will ever mention. I really loved his match with Essa Rios at Backlash 2000 for the European Championship.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
because they were feuding
okay.
with it was Lita and China were involved in that too.
Yeah. Um, they just got back from the prom, and that's when Eddie debuted the Lowrider when he
Yeah,
came out. That
he got his
looked like a
Eddie got his
Chevy.
GED. He got his
Yeah, and he went
GED.
to a. I wish I said this when I covered Backlash 2000. I wish they'd have showed video clips of them crashing a high school prom.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved that, and got kicked out the prom. Like I would have loved to see something like that, but obviously they didn't do nothing like that. Um, I also like now if I want to throw one more match in there. Let's see. I'm trying to. I don't want to throw. I want to throw with somebody else. Like if I throw a match with like Kurt or something, I'll probably say WrestleMania 20. Or if I throw like, oh man, I'm trying to go back to like while he was on SmackDown. Or I'll throw a tag match while he was teaming with Chavo. I did like that triple threat tag match they had at Survivor Series with the SmackDown 6 for the tag titles. Eddie and Chavo won the tag titles in MSG against Rey Mysterio and Edge on one team and Benoit and Kurt on the other. SmackDown 6 in MSG, that was another banger with him and Chavo winning the tag titles. So most of his matches were in the 2000s for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's when he was a vocal. I mean, he was a bigger part. If you look back, like in WCW, and there's some things we'll talk about, but like I do think when he went to WWF, you actually really started to see more of what you wanted out of Eddie Guerrero. There was a lot of issues in WCW, and I'm going to talk about that in one of my favorite Eddie moments. they really were kind of holding people back, you know, because Eddie, Benoit, Jericho, and there's probably more we can list. They go to WWF and they become stars, and they weren't allowed to do that. You know, they would just get right there in WCW. They would just get right there, but not get to the next level until they went to the other company.
Well, let's jump to that. Give me some of your favorite Eddie moments.
Well, my first is I believe it was the start of the LWO when Eddie went on, and this is the first time I recall Eddie having a mic in his hand and me really caring about what he was saying, and he called out Eric Bischoff and about how how um, everybody in WCW is being held back, and he's using Bischoff by name, and I think at this point, obviously Bischoff, people knew he was the boss, and it's past, he's in the NWO at this point, but he's really talking about behind the scenes type stuff, almost breaking kayfabe, right? And I remember that specific promo was the moment that I really started to not just care about Eddie as an in-ring guy. I was like, there's a character to him. And that's the first time I could really recall that. Obviously winning the WWE title, the crowd had that sign that just says Eddie, right? And he's got the belt and all that. Like, I just, that's it's really like one of the best moments. The Radicals debuting on Raw. I remember I was a dirt sheet kid, right? Like, I would read NoDQ.com and all these other ones, and there were rumors that these guys had walked out of WCW because Kevin Sullivan had become the booker again. We find out years later that was true, and I remember just being shocked that they were there. Like, I was like, oh my god, like, that was another moment. Jericho had come over at this point already. Big Show had been there, but like, 4 WCW guys in one fell swoop or on Raw, like, you really felt like anything could happen. And I know he broke his wrist or arm, I believe. Was
Yeah,
it
he had
on
a
Raw?
full sleep when they turned on Cactus Jack. When Triple H was the one that got their contracts, I remember he tried to do a double suplex with
No, I thought
Malenko,
he
and he
did a
had
frog.
that
I thought he,
brace.
yeah, he did
He
a frog
just
splash with
dislocated his
Roadblock, right?
elbow.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't.
Dislocated his elbow.
Was it the first night they were there? I can't. That
No,
I
I think
don't.
it
Hmm.
was the next.
When he
I
hit
thought it
that
was.
frog splash, he dislocated his elbow.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So his debut night, he dislocated his elbow. Wow, that's
Yep, when
Yeah.
he hit the
amazing.
frog splash.
Um.
I
So,
remember when they turned on Cactus Jack, it was Triple H that gave him their contracts. I mean, he tried to help Malenko do a double suplex to Mick, and he still had that brace on his arm, and he damn near
Hmm.
messed his arm up doing that
yeah,
when he tried that double suplex.
he got injured pretty quick. I will say, like, maybe and it's tough looking back on it now, but one of my favorite moments in wrestling is that if you've ever looked at, like, WrestleMania 10, right? They hoisted Bret Hart up on their shoulders at the end. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan wins the title. He has a big thing. Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 20 had, you know,
Him and
to be
Benoit.
honest, one of my favorite moments is Benoit finally wins the world title. Though he did win the WCW title. That's here nor there. But Benoit's in the ring with the world title. Eddie's in the ring with the WWE title. And it's like, oh my God, these two guys that I've been watching since 1995, 9 years later, are at the top of WWE. And it's just like this
Yeah.
unbelievable feel good moment because they're both champions. And they're just two guys that, if WCW was still around, they really, I know Benoit won the title, but it didn't feel right. They never would have had that moment in WCW. And it's like they finally, and if you know the backstory, it wasn't just WCW, right? ECW, New Japan, all the stuff that they had done. They're finally at the top, both of them. And to me, that is like probably one of my top 5 WrestleMania moments. I try to look back on that, how I felt in that moment, not look back on what happened later. So that's up there. And then, I mean, honestly, his transition from the Radicals to China, and like you said, the prom thing. I just thought him and China had this chemistry. But again, it was now you were seeing Eddie can be a serious wrestler and have a little bit of that comical side to him. That this, like I said, he kind of was the total package. He could be, because another moment is like him staring down little Dominic Mysterio, right? And saying, I'm your poppy, and that heel turn. Eddie literally could do it all. There's not a ton of wrestlers that can do the serious, the great wrestling, and be a comedy act that you're still taking serious at the same time. This guy was not a one-dimensional dude. He could do it all. So those are my moments.
All right, go ahead, Rich.
Well, and he obviously brought up a bunch of the ones that I was thinking of. Um, the first time that he pulled the chair trick, where he'd smack the chair off the mat, throw it to his opponent, and then flop on the ground. That was classic Eddie right there. Um, the thing with his his deal with Dominic, that whole scenario with the custody, and of course back then WCW was putting everything up on a pole, including Judy Bagwell.
Yeah,
So they put to put the custody. I couldn't think of the right word.
yeah. The
Yep.
custody
The
papers
custody
in the
papers up
briefcase.
on the yeah. His I think his first appearance in ECW was a big moment because it was part of that thing where, and I think Heyman was brilliant for doing it, but it showed that ECW wasn't just blood, guts, gore, and hitting people in the head with a chair. It was actually going to have some wrestling with it. And when you brought Eddie and Psychosis and guys like that, but Eddie's first match, if you remember, his first match was against Psychosis. And they went 37 minutes and absolutely flew around that ring and did all kinds of crazy crap that we take for granted now. But back then was just ridiculous. I mean, that was one of the first times I'd ever seen someone do a tope suicido. That kind of stuff. He really lent credence to the wrestling in ECW and not as much of the extreme end of stuff. And then the promo that he did with Brock
Oh
when
yes.
Brock was running his ass down and he just basically turned. I mean, he went straight off script. And that promo is probably one of the top 5 promos of all time to me. It's right there with Hard Times. It's right there with, can't keep my alligators on the floor. Um, it's right there with that. That Eddie just unloaded and emptied his soul in that promo. And you could tell it hit Brock. You could tell Brock was kind of backing up a step because he knew Eddie was not pulling punches at that point. This was not a put together scripted promo. He was talking from his heart. And that was a pretty cool moment for me.
So I'll start with one of the all-time best moments. This stuff he did with China, especially. I love the stuff where they're him backstage studying, trying to get his GD and whatnot. And then when he gets that, one of my favorite segments, him and China trying on gowns and tuxedos for his prom, and he's just trying on the ugliest shit you could find. That green blazer with that tuxedo T-shirt was funny, and then he's behind the curtain, and then he comes out in this almost look like something Michael Jackson wore in Thriller, and he's got them brown cowhide cowboy boots on, and he's just a tiptoeing out like. Oh, Joe, we gonna dance, baby. You and me. I laughed. That's still a classic Eddie moment. And then I'll also throw what he said. That promo with Brock, where Brock had the mariachi band and he come out with the sombrero, and then who was it a couple years ago wanted to fall and say that was a racist trademark Brock did. But I guess in 2004, Eddie must have loved it. But when he just told him, "You're not facing Eddie Guerrero, you're gonna face Latino Heat," and he cut that promo from the heart, like Rich said, I remember watching that SmackDown. I'm like, "Is Eddie gonna win the title now?" Like, I hope he does now. Cut that promo from the heart. Three, a classic funny moment. Go back to '04 when Kurt Angle got fired as the general manager of SmackDown. Eddie come out in the lowrider with all Kurt Angle's stuff from his office, and he was gonna auction it off and give it to charity. He took his wheelchair, he took his a portrait of him, drew a patchouli mustache on his face, wrote "I suck" on it, wrote demon horns on it. Uh, took a shadow box with his WWE title in it. Took his leg cast, and then he took his gold medals. And he's like trying to sell them for $1, and then Kurt got pissed, and Kurt Angle was gonna crank his lowrider up, and when he did, like powder just hit him in the face from the airbag. Funny moment with Eddie and Kurt. Um, I enjoyed this stuff he did with JBL, where JBL pulled some crazy shit, like going across the border, kicking people out the border, sending them back to Mexico, and then having his family get involved in a feud where at a house show he just puts his hand on his mother's shoulder and she suffered a heart attack, and I thought she really passed away. And then that got super personal with them too, and he
Yep.
stole his limo and ran it, come back looking like a train wreck when JBL looked like he was covered in garbage, leading into their feud with at the Bash. And then, of course, the stuff he did with Dominic when he was a kid, going to his daycare, like randomly shows up with candy at a kid daycare, telling him you like bedtime stories, and I'm like, oh, this is some good stuff. And I'm leaning to the point like, what's this secret? What is he, his dad or something? And then it wasn't no surprise when he said, Dominic, Ray's not your father. When he said, I'm your poppy, I never laughed so hard in my life. All I can think of was Bernie Mac in Life when he said, I'm the pappy. That's all I can think about. But the only thing that made me upset was why did Eddie was supposed to win that match at the Bash and then spill the story on SmackDown, but Vince called an audible and said, no, we're going to let Ray win, but we're going to still let Eddie spoil the news. That was the dumbest audible Vince called with having Ray win instead of Eddie at the Bash. But that's Vince for you.
The funny thing about the Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, and everything, and I was like an adult at the time. I was like 21, and I was unsure if Eddie was really his father. To be honest, I was like, wait a second.
I, I
Did
knew he
he
was.
maybe it did because it got I think a lot of people were saying like Eddie when he was off from wrestling, even though the math didn't work out right, that he had this illegitimate child that Ray adopted, and I was like, wait a second, did Ray adopt a son from Eddie Guerrero? Like it kind of had me believing and questioning, what was real and what was not. And Wyndham has entered the chat here.
You know. And even now, people they could have had this storyline keep going if Eddie was still around because Ray is 5 foot, right? His
Yep.
wife is like 5'3". Dom is 6'1".
How'd
So,
that happen?
they could have kept this thing going for 20 years
Yeah.
talking about how, how could Ray and his wife have had a son that was a foot taller than both of them and also yeah, they
It
could
was
have
kind
just
of
kept playing
it
off of
was kind
that.
of a head it was kind of a head scratcher for me until WrestleMania 39 when Dominic came out that prison van with his dad's Halloween Havoc mask on, and he literally looked just like Ray from '97. I said, "Oh yeah, that is definitely Ray's
Mhm.
son." Literally
Yeah.
looked
I
like
mean,
a young Rey Mysterio Jr. from '97.
it's incredible. I looking back, and I don't want to change the subject too much, but like how Dominic Mysterio is an actual professional wrestler now, who is like one of the top guys. I mean, I remember when he first debuted, I was like, oh my god, I can't. Like, how old am I? That kid is in WWE now, right? And now I remember he was like that, baby face, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I said I'd like to see him as a heel, and I didn't realize how well and how far he would take off with it. And I mean, what a story to have that story with Eddie Guerrero in 2005. to now in 2025, he is, to me, maybe not just WWE, but one of like the top guys in the wrestling business overall.
Well, I'll confess here, as much crap as I've given him over the years, because I have talked a lot of shit about him over the years, saying he was a crappy wrestler, and I'd call him dipshit Mysterio. I will give him credit for killing this reincarnation of Eddie character, letting his hair grow out long, uh, having having Rhea as your mommy at one point, then had the love with Liv Morgan, then kind of a little flirtatious thing with Roxanne Perez. That's kind of what Eddie did with China. Now he's kind of like, you could call him an Eddie 2.0, even though that used to make me mad. But I, I still don't. I still don't like his character. I'm still boo him and whatnot, but I will admit he
Well, you
is
gotta
doing
boo
better
him.
with it. He's doing
It's
better
dude.
with it. I'll give him that.
Until
I
he
don't.
turns.
Yeah. Until I will tell you this, and people probably get mad. I'm gonna say this. He generates more heat than MJF. I mean, you can hear those crowds. They don't even let him talk. Like, that's a fucking talent. You know
It's
what I mean?
entertaining to
Like,
He
me,
does,
but
but watch what happens when he turns. He'll get a bigger reaction than Cody Rhodes.
oh,
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
I want him babyface. I'd rather him as heel.
Well, he could do this for a while. I
If you
mean, when he
watch,
won,
he's going to.
Oh well,
that's
yeah,
what happens
obviously,
when
but
you are a
I don't know if
great
that's
bad
gonna make me a
guy.
fan of him. Like, if he kind of goes that route, I mean, I don't know if I could be a fan of this guy and cheer for him. I never cheered for him since day one. That the hell
That's
would freeze over if I start cheering
the
for Dominic Mysterio.
the best heels always turn out to be the best baby faces too. You know?
To a large degree, yeah. I mean, there's some guys that just have to be heels. Tully Blanchard had to be a heel. He could not be a babyface.
MJF had to be a heel.
Gino
Uh,
Hernandez had to be a heel. Could not be a babyface in any way, shape, or form. Gunther cannot, in any way, shape, or form,
oh,
Yeah.
be a face.
absolutely not.
No
I said the
way.
same thing.
He-
Should I said the same thing about Damian Priest. Like, he shouldn't have been a babyface. I'd rather him. Drew McIntyre. I'd rather him as a heel. I can't take Drew as a babyface. He's got to
yeah,
stay a heel.
Drew is no good as a babyface. Yeah.
Yeah, that one run with Brock was fine, but it's like, I cannot see. I rather same thing with Randy Orton. I can't see him as a babyface. He has to be a heel. I
Oh
loved him
Oh,
no,
more
I
as a
can,
heel than a
but Brock
babyface.
as a babyface is stupid.
yeah.
Brock should be out there to kill people. That's it.
Yeah, but
Destroy, kill, run over people.
Cowboy Brock was entertaining. Even if he did get some cheers with it, like when he lifted freaking Roman up with that bucket and lift the ring up. I never laughed hysterically in my life. The way Roman didn't even play that, he just fell over and rolled
Yeah.
out like a damn bowling pin. I laughed hysterically at that, and I almost went to that SummerSlam. Uh, I kind of said the same thing about like Austin Theory and stuff. I can't see him as a babyface either. He's got to stay a heel. Him and Grayson Waller when they were a thing.
Yeah, but
I
I
would
don't know if
go.
I don't put. I see. My thing though is like those guys. I think to say like you're world champions, you're top of the card. Those guys usually can do both, right? Like Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't see them ever ascending past where they're at.
No.
But
See
like
another.
if Dom, I do think there's two guys in WWE right now that I see as the future of the company. It's Dominic Mysterio and Braun Breaker. And they got it in their blood. So, I mean, there's a little bit of an advantage there. But those are like the two stand. As much as I want Carmelo Hayes to be one of those guys, I don't know if they're going
See,
to allow that to happen. But
Seth Rollins was another guy I
Carmelo
thought should have
Hayes.
stayed a heel. Seth Rollins was another one that should have stayed a heel. I loved him more as a heel than a
Yeah.
babyface.
Seth, for me, Seth can do both. I'm happy with both.
I
You know,
don't Braun
Seth
Breaker. I
can
don't know
do
if I like to
both.
see him as a babyface. Braun got Breaker got to stay a heel.
I think he could do both,
Oh, yeah.
honestly.
Well,
He's
obviously he
a
will. He's a
Steiner, man.
Steiner.
As soon as I saw him, I said, "Okay, I'm sold." I bought the Braun Breaker T-shirt on NXT. Like I was like, "I'm in. I'm all in."
I need more
you know?
Steiner math in me. If he can keep doing
Yeah.
that and be like a comical heel, that's what I want of him is a comical heel. Calling people
See, the other
fat
one,
like Scott.
that there's no way he can be a babyface is Bronson Reed.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
No.
Bronson Reed is built to be a heel. Period. End of story. He is just You know, you know who he reminds me a lot of? He's just not as tall. Is
Earthquake
Bam Bam Bigelow.
or
Yeah,
Bam? I was
Bam
gonna
Bam
say Bam
Bigelow.
Bam
that's
or
what I was
Earthquake
thinking.
or Typhoon a little
Because
bit.
as flexible and as agile as Bam Bam was, Bronson Reed, I mean, look how fast he climbs those ropes.
Can he do a
He climbs
moonsault
those
too?
ropes as fast as Dom Mysterio does.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
You
That's
know, I
Jacob
mean,
Fatu that can cut a moonsault, not Bronson Reed.
and
Jacob,
Bam
I
Bam
can't
has.
see Jacob as a babyface either.
well, no, but I'm talking about Bronson doing the tsunami.
Oh
He
yeah, he gets up
climbs
there
those ropes
fast.
quick.
You know who else climbs? You know
Jacob,
who
I could
else?
see being either way. Yeah.
You know who
Jacob
else is?
Fatu. Oh, he could be a babyface. People, I love Jacob Fatu.
I
And
love him
like,
too, but I'd rather him a
yeah,
heel. I'd rather him a
yeah.
heel. Tell
Oh
people
yeah.
no,
But
I mean New Orleans
but
style.
it's about, can you get crowd reactions to you know, if you're going to be a babyface, will they cheer for you? They would cheer for Jacob Fatu.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, I
they
think
would.
they already were. You know,
I just think they fumbled the ball.
was he
They
hurt?
brought him in
Did he get
too
hurt?
late in the storyline, yeah, of the bloodline.
Yeah,
And if they could have brought him in and made him be the guy that just destroyed, nobody, I don't care, nobody I have talked to is convinced that Solo Sikoa is a badass.
No,
Nobody.
no, he
I
Jacob
can
lost.
Fatu
guarantee
should have
you,
ran
if
that
if
bloodline.
Jacob would have done to Roman what Solo did to Roman, that's believable. And it's like Ole Anderson said. You don't have to believe the sport. You just got to believe me.
That should have been Jacob
Yeah.
running that bloodline when instead of Solo.
Well, and then Solo, every opportunity he had, he lost. So it's like it just really, it kind of killed it. For everything
And
that
then
was perfect
whatever,
about the bloodline, it started to tail off once they
yeah,
last
the
Survivor Series was
Sammy.
pretty much the end of it for me.
And
You
they
know.
all basically then they all like except Solo, then they all changed their names now. Like it ain't Tama Tonga no more or
Yeah.
Tonga Low. They all got
Yeah.
and they paint their faces now like they
It it's got new Nexus vibe to it, right? Where you had
I
the
hate it.
Nexus and it was great, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it didn't work and they ended it, and then they went with the new Nexus and it didn't work. This is what it feels like.
The
You
only
know.
part
Well,
of the new Nexus that worked is the leader of it.
Yeah, they
oh,
put Punk in there and
Punk in there trying
I,
to make it work. You put
yeah,
Solo as the head of this NFT or DFT or whatever the heck it is.
MFT,
Um,
my family tree.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm
I even
sorry.
hate the
No.
name. I hate the name too. Um well, back to Eddie. Give me his best rivals of all time. If you just want to name straight names, you ain't unless you want to go into
well,
detail, it's up to y'all.
you got to go Ray. I think Ray, you know,
JBL.
JBL, Benoit to
Uh,
some, Kurt,
Chavo.
Chavo, um,
Dean Malenko.
yeah.
Um, Psychosis. Ultimo Dragon.
Jericho in
Um,
WCW.
yeah,
yeah.
um, I
Brock.
think it's. I think Brock you got to throw in there just because there's just so much link to that, with him actually winning the title.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
But
overall, we'll
number
probably
one,
say
I mean, there's
it's
no
Ray.
doubt that number one is Ray.
overall I'll say Ray, but
Everybody
like
else is playing for second.
if you had to put Ray on the side, would you consider his great rivalry in WWE was Kurt Angle or JBL or even maybe Brock or Batista?
Probably Kurt to me because their matches were like exactly what I
Probably.
wanted out of them. Kurt Angle is probably my like Sean is there, but like Kurt is probably my favorite in ring guy. And anything he did with Eddie, Benoit, all those guys, they were just magic. And him and Eddie, they had a chemistry that was
Well,
you know,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
even though they had one match together, but imagine if they would have been on the same brand together, they could have worked magic. I would have loved to seen him work with Triple H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, the one that I wish, and Haas, you know how big of a fan I am of this guy. I would have loved to have been able to see Eddie Guerrero and AJ Styles.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
If Eddie would have been
Good
allowed to go to
grief, they
TNA.
could have had some great matches, man.
You think if he would have still been here today, he probably would have left WWE for a bit and go to TNA and work with like AJ Styles and all them.
There's a chance. That's a good.
Possible.
That's something to really look at. I mean, he died in 2005.
Imagine like working with him, working with Christopher Daniels, working with Jeff Hardy
Samoa
when he was
Joe,
there, Samoa Joe, Alex Skipper, Monty Brown, like all them guys.
I'll
Bobby
tell you this:
Roode,
if they didn't
James Storm.
if Eddie didn't resign with WWE in 2002, right? Because he got fired in 2001. If he doesn't go back in 2002, right? That's where he would have been. There was
And he could
no
also
other
work
game
with
in
Jeff
town.
Jarrett. He could have worked with Jarrett too when Jeff Jarrett was
Yeah,
still there.
there
Yeah,
was a lot.
Jarrett. Yeah,
Like, Eddie was 38 when he passed. So what he wouldn't have been 50 till what? Two, uh,
17.
2017. So he probably would have, wrestlers really do wrestle into their 40s at this point. So, Eddie, there would have been 12 years there where who knows, what else he would have done.
And if
Wrestling
he'd gone
really
to TNA, he could have renewed the rivalry with Angle.
could have done that with Angle. You would have seen him face Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. I think he was going to be a WWE lifer, honestly.
I think so too.
But there was just, so many people. I'm trying to think, like, who
Hell, what
came into the
about
company?
shit? What about? I would have loved to see him work with CM Punk, especially if he
Yeah,
brought up
Punk.
his past.
Yeah, Punk. They wrestle each other on the Indies, I believe, with Ray, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
if
a
that was
couple of guys now
I don't
that I
think
would
he.
love to have seen him. Him, and Seth Rollins, I think would be fantastic.
I
Yeah.
don't
Um,
think. Has he ever worked with Randy Orton like 1-on-1? I don't know if he ever really
No,
worked with Orton.
they were
oh
pretty. They stayed to the brand split pretty good back then. So there was a lot of
yeah,
matches
but
that didn't happen.
that was supposed. In fact, if you're that match that was what they were building to was him, Orton, and Batista
Yeah, because
to
Orton
have
ended
that
up
triple threat where he was going
because
to get the title back.
because Orton must have ended up in. Was he drafted to SmackDown in 05?
Yeah, he
There was
got
a
drafted in the summer. He was the
Yeah,
second guy to get drafted outside of Benoit.
Yeah,
But
they did a
another
big
thing,
shakeup.
well,
yeah,
Five
remember
but
guys, but they were important ones then. I remember.
he was also supposed to be on that Survivor Series team with Batista, Ray, Randy Orton, and JBL. But after he passed, Bobby Lashley filled his spot. Yes,
Oh,
another
he
guy
was
I would
on
have
the
loved to seen him
poster
work
for
with was
that.
Lashley.
Yeah.
That would have been
Yeah.
another guy too. Was Lashley? That would have been another good feud too.
Well, there was a lot. The next year they came up with the new ECW, which I'm not saying he would have gone there, but they put
oh,
Kurt Angle over there. Um, Not that
They put
that.
Benoit over there.
Yeah,
well, they
later,
put
but
Big Show over there too.
they
They were
put
trying to
yeah,
give it some credibility, and that just didn't work.
No,
yeah.
it was crappy, but I still watched it every Tuesday night because it was wrestling.
I
It
did
wasn't.
too, but man,
It wasn't. It
it
wasn't what it
just
was in the '90s.
Well, I'll tell you this: the One Night Stand '06 was unbelievable. What a pay per view!
Oh, they
But
both were.
but no, but
Even your dog agrees.
what I didn't pick up on in at the pay per view was like how WWE influenced it was. It was ECW versus them. You had Cena on there, you had Edge, and all this. But I assumed like that was the end of it, and ECW would be its own thing. And then the first night, I went, because even I didn't know they were going to tape it after SmackDown. Like I thought maybe they would find different venues. Once I
I thought
realized
they
that,
taped it.
it's
I
like
thought they taped it before SmackDown because I
no,
went
it
to
was
one of
it was
them.
it was live. It was live after SmackDown. I
Oh
think
wow!
ECW
See,
started at 10 p.m.
see. Well, the one time I went to a SmackDown in ECW, they must have reversed it because when I went in
What year?
oh
Could have
07,
been different by then. Yeah.
they did. This is when they had the small. They didn't have the traditional setup with the brick wall and the fencing. That's when they had that little tunnel thing, that light tunnel thing. Um,
yeah,
when I went in '07, they ECW started and they did that live at 7 o'clock because it was live at 7 Central on Sci-Fi. And then when that was over, they just did a whole SmackDown taping that lasted about an hour and 20 minutes because they did it without commercials. They just did everything back to back. After a match was done, they immediately showed promos and jumped to another match without commercial breaks.
Yeah, I don't. I know things changed quick. At the start of it, it was live. It was live right after they taped SmackDown. Um,
Yeah, it used
and
to be live at
honestly,
9 o'clock Central. Then it changed to 7 a year later.
yeah.
Uh,
And I mean, as soon as RBD and Sabu got busted, it kind of
yeah, it
once
went
RBD
down.
wasn't the champion, it just was like no. And by the end of '06, it went off a full cliff because I assumed RBD was going to get that title back, and then December to Dismember was, probably
Crop
one of the
Road.
most horrific pay-per-views they ever did.
What
So
was it worse than King of the Ring '93?
'93 wasn't bad. '95 was bad. King Mabel, you mean?
I remember they said King of the Ring '93 was one of the worst pay per views
No,
WWE ever produced.
no. Bret Hart won. He had a match with Mr.
No, but there
Perfect.
was an In Your House in '93 that was horrific. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Well,
Was
no,
it
it would have
Great
been
White?
90.
Was it
In Your
Great
House
White
didn't.
North?
No, In Your
Or
House didn't debut till '95. '93 was still just
what was
Oh,
the
yes, it was
Mania
one?
'95.
Rumble.
What was the In Your
Huh?
House where they had that massive rainstorm and it cut the pay per view cut cable off and everything? It was in South Carolina.
Yeah,
Beware of Dog or
Yeah,
something like that.
maybe
yeah. I mean, there was two or three of them that just were horrific, and then that whole they started trying to become technological and doing Taboo Tuesday and
Oh
yeah.
god,
cyber,
that was
what? No,
Taboo Tuesday was
Well,
no.
stupid. They should have just did Cyber Sunday from where because their numbers were low because you did this on a Tuesday night. No one's used to watching a pay per
but
view on a Tuesday night,
well,
unless they follow
they were
Raw.
they were trying to do different things at the time. I mean, they hadn't done a Tuesday night pay per view since what was it? Tuesday
Tuesday
night
in
in
Texas.
Texas,
Yeah.
and yeah, that fell off a cliff. But just bring it back
Yeah,
to
and the main
Well,
'95.
event though was Hogan Taker. You
Yeah,
got
well,
to
hey,
yeah,
remember that.
remember they used to do Survivor Series on Thanksgiving Eve or Thanksgiving
yep,
night, a Wednesday night pay per view or Thursday night till about
yeah.
'93 or '94.
Uh,
Hmm.
'93 was in the Garden. I watched that on pay per view, but I remember
I think '95
'91.
was the first one on a Sunday.
Yeah, '95 is where you started to see a lot of changes with they had the In Your House. They were changing when they were doing pay per views, but '95, like to me, was one of the worst years in wrestling ever. And it kind of brings it back to like when I saw that match with Benoit and Guerrero, I've seen something different because of how like WCW was doing the Dungeon of Doom with Hogan. They were just, trying to that was awful. Like and WAF was like so bad in '95. I mean, it was so bad. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
mean when
was
you
it
had,
was horrendous.
I think it was '95. It might have been '94 that you had the Chamber of Horrors where they had Abdullah in the electric chair and the
Uh
switch
huh.
flopped
Yeah, that might have been
at
'92.
Halloween Havoc.
That
Was
might have
that
been
'92?
that might
I
have
thought
been
that was
before Hogan.
I thought that was
Because I
'93 or '94. They did that.
I
I
thought it
I
was right before Hogan. I thought it was like
it
me,
was
like that happened, and Hogan came in like a month later.
so Hogan signed with WCW in July of '94, and I think that Abdullah the Butcher was out of that company. I want to say by '91, '92, because I don't
Okay,
recall him being there in '93.
I'm a
Flair
couple
returned.
months off
Yeah,
then because I had Hogan signing in like December of '94.
yeah, he came in July, and then they did the big thing with the signing with him and Ric Flair to face at Bash at the Beach. It might
Yeah,
have
the
been
whole
June
Thunder in
'94.
Paradise thing and all that
Yeah,
kind of crap.
and then they went to another direction. That's when Bischoff was like, "We'll do the Nitro. We have Hogan now." And to be honest, like as a kid watching it, I got to see like the end of Hogan's career in WWF. So when he was with WCW, it's like, oh my God, there's the Hulkster, a
Hmm.
smaller Hulkster at the time because of the steroid trial, which
Wonder why.
I never made that connection as a kid of why Hogan's physique kind of looked different. But the first couple of years of Hogan being there, or the crowd started to turn on him because it was the same old thing, and that's how we get the boom of
Well, and
WCW.
it didn't help any that first night of Nitro, who shows up at the end?
Like Sluger.
Luger,
Luger, who
who was
everybody wanted to see instead of Hogan. They didn't give three flying craps about Hogan. They wanted to see Luger.
no,
So, Luger, and I was a Luger guy.
see Luger. looking back, I didn't know this as a kid, right? I didn't understand that he was supposed to be the replacement of Hulk Hogan. Granted
Yeah, they
that
had the was it the Lex
execution.
Express and the narcissist character and
Oh
all that.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
they
the
did.
they pumped a
narcissist.
ton of they
This is
pumped a
what I
ton of
didn't
money and time
understand.
into that whole
This is what I
failed
didn't
mission.
understand about what was it, SummerSlam '93 when he fought Yokozuna. They did this whole Lex Express tour. You're thinking this guy better win the freaking championship. No, he wins the match by a count out. And they had him celebrate like he won the big one. He didn't win
It
shit.
was very confusing as a kid, but here's what kind of happened in that time period, or how I look at it. Vince is trying to find his next Hogan because he didn't believe that Bret Hart was really the face of his company. So in '93, out of nowhere, as a kid, I looked at this and Yokozuna is doing the body slam challenge, and I go, narcissist Lex Luger shows up. I knew the total package Lex Luger in WCW, and I knew the
Me
narcissist. I
too.
only knew Lex Luger as a bad guy. And I remember watching, they're showing the clip, and I go, why would Lex Luger do that? They're like, he's standing up for America. I'm like, yeah, but he's an asshole. Like, I don't understand this. So then he was supposed to be it. And then a year later, so then they pivot back to Brett. Well, now what do they do? We need someone else. Oh,
Sean.
who's a big tall heel?
Sean.
Oh,
Oh,
Diesel's now the face of the company.
Diesel
And at the
seven.
whole
You
time,
mean 7 moves Nash?
yeah, he's 7 moves that. But like he was so desperate,
Ev,
and
you're listening, you know it.
yeah,
that's worse
it's.
than 3 moves Jay or 4 moves Jay Uso.
But I
Or
do
five
like
moves Cena.
I do believe like Brett that Vince didn't see Brett as the face of his company when he was, because he always
Hmm.
had to pivot back to Brett. You know,
And then
it's
then it was Sean after that.
yeah, well to some degree, right? And then Vince, honestly, in WWF hit the lottery with Stone Cold because they didn't
Oh,
know, they had
what a rock!
no idea.
What a
Oh,
rock!
And
The
he
Rock,
only hit the Stone Cold lottery because of the curtain call.
yeah, yeah, exactly. If that doesn't
Because
happen,
Hall and Nash were leaving. Michaels had the titles, so the only person to punish was Hunter. He punishes Hunter, who was supposed to win King of the Ring.
yep.
Yep.
He doesn't. Jake had turned his life around at that point, and here we go. And I have no doubt in my mind that was a 100% ad lib.
Oh yeah, that's what he said. He'd listened to Jake's promo first and then came up with that. They did like, because I think a lot of people look at it like revisionist history is like they didn't sign Austin as they thought they had anything. They said, there's another guy on the roster, like he's available, he's working the ECW. They bring him in, they're like, oh, stick you with Ted DiBiase.
He
They
could
had
talk.
no idea. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just and they hit the lottery. The Rock, I do disagree with because I think they knew there was something there, and they tried with the baby face, and then they let him be him, and like it's like getting Mickey Mantle and what was this? Roger Maris in the same lineup, right? Like and going for the home run race. You gifted these guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and the other thing that I would look at too, when Austin did the Austin 316 thing, the shirts were out the next day. Okay. To me, and I would be curious to see the numbers on this, I will bet you on anything and everything that the only shirt that has come anywhere, and this is going full circle, the only shirt that has come anywhere close to that Austin 316 right out of the chute was I'm Your Poppy
mm,
Oh yeah.
that
right
was a
after
good
Eddie
one.
passed
One of
away.
my
Because that I'm Your, that shirt, boom. I
one of
mean,
my top
everybody you
three Eddie
saw had one
shirts.
of those on.
Which
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
want to talk about Eddie shirts? I'll start this one off. I'll put that one on the list. I'm your poppy. Two, I like his Scarface shirt. That was one of my all-time favorite Eddie
yep.
Guerrero shirts ever owned.
Oh
Where he had the
yeah,
WWE
yeah.
title Scarface cover. The Grand Theft Auto Vice City one, where it had light sheet still on the chest and on the back. It was like Grand Theft Auto style on the back that he wore in '05. He wore it around the time he fought Benoit at One Night Stand. You want to come in my neck of the woods? I liked his Tabasco shirt he had, where it was red and it had Latino Heat
Hmm.
license there. It looked like the Tabasco logo. He wore that in late '04. And then I'm gonna also say, what was it? Eddie Guerrero's my favorite wrestler shirt, the one he had in WCW.
Oh yeah. And you gotta say
Yeah, that
Latino
was
World
pretty good.
Order's got to be on there too.
Yeah,
Not they still,
LWO.
not they're even using that now, but
He originated it, made it
Yeah,
better.
yeah, he had a
and they
lot of
can
great
use it because
teams.
they own the rights.
That's my Eddie shirts. Which don't out of
Yeah,
all those, the only two I've ever owned was the I'm Your Poppy and the Scarface shirt. That's the only two I've ever had.
I don't think I ever had an Eddie. I don't think I had any Eddie shirts. I didn't buy a lot of shirts back then, but as you get older and you start to have money, then you start buying more wrestling shirts.
That was the only way I was getting
I
shirts
went
was
through
attending
a I
shows.
went through a dip.
Yeah,
Is at one point in time I had, now granted this was world class, but I had a Kerry shirt, a Chris Adams shirt, an Iceman King Parsons, and a Sunshine shirt. I had all those, and then I cruising through, and then I didn't buy any for a while, and then I got RVD, AJ Styles, that kind of stuff. So I kind of had a little dip there of not
little
buying
dip
shirts
there.
for quite a while.
Yeah, I think in '05 I might have had because I had them when I was in middle school. I had a DX and Austin shirt, and then in college I think I had a Batista shirt, and I had a Balls Mahoney and Sabu shirt from the new ECW. I remember I thought the Balls Mahoney shirt was the coolest thing ever. And I remember I got on WWE.com, was like, I'm ordering that shirt because I don't think Balls Mahoney ever had a t shirt before. Like, he definitely didn't have one ECW. So I ordered that one. And I think at the Sabu, they did a house show for the new ECW, and I got a Sabu shirt. And then I think I bought more like later, but I still have the Sabu one somewhere. I just don't know where.
Well,
I have the
I,
Kerry one somewhere.
I, I was gonna skip the last topic because I know Dan didn't had nothing involved the Lowrider, so I figured we'd just drop that one. But I think that's about all I got for tonight.
Yeah, I know. I could tell you. I think there was like a bluish. I'm not good with cars. They don't really stick out in my head.
Yeah,
I
me
know he
neither.
drove in with one, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you the details. I just remember Eddie popping it up in Vince that one time too, being like, "What?" Like
Yeah,
that was one of the better lowrider moments.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all I got for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say his legacy. 20 years later, people still talk about him. If you go on Fanatics right now, you can order a Eddie Guerrero T-shirt. Again, we talked about people are still doing his moves. He's brought up a lot. Like he's just someone that's never going to be forgotten, and you know that's a legacy because there's a lot of wrestlers that that have passed that really don't get mentioned. They don't have those things that they did in the ring that people can mimic, right? Like I don't think of any other wrestlers that had a lot. I mean, there's some that are still alive, but a lot that have passed that have those signature things they did that people have copied. So.
yeah,
Well, here. All right. So here's one question, Rich. So next week, Survivor
yeah.
Series. You want to do predictions Friday after SmackDown, or you want to do them Saturday morning?
Let's do
I don't
Saturday
see.
morning.
Yeah, I don't see it being that long of a show unless we drag it an hour. But just give me a time,
Yeah.
and I'm off that Saturday. I'll just be watching College Game Day while we're doing it. So
Um, let's look at like 9.
okay.
Um, then that way we're done before the 11 o'clock kickoffs. In plenty of time, before then. Because I agree with you. It'll probably be an hour at best.
And
Um,
then let me
and then
know.
we can just yeah,
Yeah, but I plan on. I'm if you want to hop in, that's cool. I plan on doing like a post show episode where as soon as the pay per view's over, I might go live and do a recap of it. If you want to hop on, feel free. If not, I mean, I can do it solo, or I'll probably find someone to hop on and that watched it and we can
okay.
just recap it. Just let me know if you want to hop in on that too. I'll send you the link. I'll get the link made already and have it sent to you if you come on. Or,
Okay. Yeah, that'll 100% depend on what Mary's doing. I don't know what all we've got going that day, but I don't foresee it being a huge issue.
Yeah, if you can't make it, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna hop on and do it. That's something I'm gonna try and start doing after PLEs. I might do like a post show result, get my takes on the
Right.
show, if it was good or bad, and what I liked about it. But prediction shows, I mean, we can try and shoot for like you want to keep it that way. We can do them like the morning of of that day or the night before. If we ain't got nothing going on. Because I don't know how we're gonna do
Yeah.
the Rumble. With the Rumble being in Saudi, it'd be what, like 11 a.m. or 12 o'clock for us when
Yeah.
that
I mean, we'd be
time's
doing it
on.
right before the show.
That'd be yeah, that'd be something. We'll think
Still on
about
the
it when we
fence
get
if I'm
closer.
watching that.
Same here, but I probably will still watch it because it's the damn Rumble.
I know it's like they really got us by the. I don't even know what to make of it anymore, honestly.
Well,
But
but yeah, but thank you again for coming on. This was fun. Let them know where they can find you.
who me?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
you can find the old Let Freedom Ring with Dan Beaulieu YouTube page. We haven't really hasn't been anything on there in some time. I haven't really. I don't know if I'll ever. The show may return someday. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Or you can find the Let Freedom Ring pages, but time will tell if it ever returns. We don't know. Kind of busy with a lot of other stuff in life. You can find me on the softball field, even in this time of year. So find me there.
I'm at I'm at Big Hoss 337 on X. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Also find me with Job to the Top Productions like Rich and everybody else.
Yeah. Twitter, Big Rich 8371. Facebook, just my name, Rich Richardson. Started to do this Rumble thing. I'm working with one of the other guys from Driving to the Top to learn this thing and figure out exactly how the hell to operate it. It's a little labor intensive. It's not exactly user friendly, but I think we're getting the hang of it. So then we can pass on the
Oh yeah.
knowledge to everybody else. So stay tuned if you have a Rumble
Oh,
account to check us out over there too.
yeah, again, I have nothing, no idea about it. I'm still stuck on StreamYard.
Yeah, I still have a
Um,
StreamYard account. I should probably cancel it because I haven't used it in a year. So
and I'm still figuring
Well,
out StreamYard.
yeah, it's a good
well,
service for sure.
Seems
well,
like it.
this was fun. I'm gonna tap out for the night. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
This was fun. I'll
Yeah, it's
catch
been
y'all down
fun,
the
man.
road.
Appreciate the invite.
yeah. Thanks for having me, guys, and yeah, let me know about the Cena thing, and yeah,
December
Uh,
11th is what I'm shooting as of right now.
that's what,
okay.
that Thursday?
Yeah, because Saturday, I don't know what time Saturday night's main event's going live because we have our Christmas parade that same night, and I gotta drive a truck in it, so I might miss the start of it, or because like the parade's at 6 o'clock. If it don't start at 6, if it starts at 7 o'clock our time, I should be good, and then I might do a post show for that too, or I might have to wait the next day. But when that time comes to, I'll think of something when I get an actual time, what time that show's going live too, and everything. But
It's starting at 7:30 Eastern, so 6:30 Central.
oh yeah, well I'm gonna miss like probably the first half hour of it. I'm gonna stay off of X for the first half hour. I might just
I
not
just want.
tweet during
I'm
it.
just still trying to figure this whole thing out of which one of these yahoos is going to be his last opponent. There's still going to
Well,
be a twist in here somewhere.
It needs
well,
to be
we now know
Carmelo
who's
Hayes or
all in.
bust.
We now know who's all in it. I'm gonna go with one or two guys. I'm either gonna say Gunther or Sheamus.
I mean, so me and my brothers talk a lot of wrestling, and I kind of laid it out of I'm not a fan of this tournament. I don't like tournaments. I don't like tournaments that dictate a final match. It's just me. I don't like how AEW does 1,000 tournaments. I said the only thing to get me engaged in this is some kind of Cinderella story, right? And it ends up being Carmelo Hayes, and somehow this rub helps him because I don't need to see Sheamus. I don't need to see Gunther. I don't need to see anybody on there wrestle John Cena. But I do want to see Carmelo Hayes. I've been watching that kid wrestle since he was 19 years old, and that I know that's a personal bias, but I do feel even if I didn't been watching that long, I still would want to see somebody have a Cinderella story to have that last match and make it meaningful for someone later. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it be Gunther, especially if it's for the title. Um, I think he drops it at Survivor Series, but I think Dom beats him at Survivor Series. But Carmelo Hayes just, I mean, and it's the same way. See, one of my best friends from high school trained Austin Theory.
Oh, really? I've
He
met him
trained
at
Austin
Volvo.
Theory.
Yeah.
He trained Austin Theory. He trained Ricky Starks. He trained Sammy Guevara.
What school is that?
I get
Where's,
those two.
yeah.
His name's Randy Blakely. He
Okay.
goes by Lance Romance.
Was this school in
Okay.
San Antonio
Um,
or Austin?
Arlington.
Oh, Arlington by Dallas. Okay.
Yeah. But I just don't get. I do not. To me, he's just like Austin Theory. I don't get Carmelo Hayes.
Because they
To
haven't.
me, I just don't. He's Iceman. He's Iceman
So
King Parsons.
I'll tell you this. So Carmelo Hayes is a New England guy. He trained at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, and he literally in this area, chaotic wrestling, limitless wrestling, all these places, he had become kind of one of the biggest things in this area, not just for his wrestling, but for the way that he talks, the way he conducts himself, the culture, all that stuff. And I mean, Carmelo, like I remember when he was the Thriller of New England, this Michael Jackson rip-off character, and it couldn't get over. But I watched the ascension of like him becoming Christian Casanova is who he was.
Yeah.
And I was like, they got to sign this guy. And I remember they signed Anthony Green. They didn't sign him. And I was like, are they not, is WWE not seeing what we're seeing? And then when he got signed, we were like, they do see it. And then I saw what he did on NXT with Trick Williams. And they were a great, he had
He
that kind.
he was great in NXT. Like I loved his like feuds with Dragunov. I loved his feud with Trick. He had another great feud with shit. Who was it? Who'd he win the? Who'd he beat? Who'd he beat for the NXT title? Damn,
Oh, no, it
Braun
wasn't Breaker.
Breaker.
He did
Braun
great.
Breaker.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his feud with Braun
Yeah.
Breaker was great too.
No, he can get there, but I do think like so when he was here, he had Royce Bishop, who doesn't wrestle anymore, and they were great together. They had Trigger there too, and they had this great stable. And what's her name? She wrestles for Tasha Steeles in TNA.
Tasha Steeles.
I think him with Trick would actually work. You gotta let the guy talk. Gotta let him be him. But I gotta say, as a human being, he's a guy that we're all rooting for because when he got signed, he could have big timed everybody around here like other people have, and he did the total opposite. Like I needed a write up from him. I sent him a message. I said, I'm doing the show. I really need this from you. And he goes, I'll get it to you in 2 days. I said, I needed like an hour. And he sent it right back. Where other people have been signed, they wouldn't respond to
Yeah,
a
they left
message.
you
You
open.
know what I mean? They would be like, yeah, I don't need to talk to you anymore. You got to root for that guy, but I do think he can do it if he's given the opportunity. I don't know. And this might be that in for him, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've watched him. I watched him in NXT. I thought he was really good with Trick. And I just don't. The whole thing since he moved to the main roster, I just sit there and go, okay, you built the kid up, and then you're beating him every time he turns around.
Yeah.
And you put him with the Miz, which
I
is
hated that. I didn't like
nothing
it.
but
I didn't like it.
being stuck in the nucleus of a black hole because there's nothing going to happen. Um, Now Miz may be doing great things for him backstage, very possibly is, but on the camera. Yeah. So it may change. I mean, I don't get him. But hope could I see him being Cena's last opponent? I guess it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to be Rusev. I don't think it's going to be Sheamus.
Definitely not going to be Jey Uso.
I think
Not going to be Uso.
Not
I
going to be
think-
LA Knight.
Although, see, I'm thinking it could be LA Knight.
See, I do think that too. I just think that if I'm John Cena, and I think he has some say in this, I want that last match to help somebody, right? All those other guys in the tournament don't need it except for Carmelo. Now, how does Carmelo beat Bronson Reed? I don't know yet. I don't know how they would do that. But if Carmelo can get there and if they do that with him, I really think he would benefit for it because people would have been like, oh my God, like he won these matches. Like maybe we should pay attention to this guy. I don't know. I just don't think anybody else needs it. You know,
I could see some sort of a schmoz with one of the guys on Punk's Survivor Series team, causing Bronson Reed to or hitting him with maybe Cody hits him with the belt or something.
That would be
and
great.
Carmelo rolls him up. But I mean, the way that they've done LA Knight, he needs the push too. I mean, yes, he's got the whole LA Knight thing, but outside of that, I mean, they've shafted him on the IC title several times. They had him losing for a little while there I mean, apparently he got him mad in the back because the fans wanted to see him doing stuff and they weren't letting him do it.
Is he popular in Saudi?
For me, it comes down to those three. For me,
yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, LA Knight wouldn't be bad too. But I think he's a guy though that even if this is all happening, you could easily just one day say, yeah, he's winning matches again. He's in the main event scene. Like I think he should still be someone that you look to in the Rumble this year as a potential winner. Like, Carmelo Hayes, you don't. There's no way he's winning the Royal Rumble, right? So
no.
I don't know.
And you're right. I mean, and see, that's the thing. I thought he was going to win. I honestly thought he was going to win. A couple different when they did the battle royal for the chance to face Punk.
Yep.
I thought he was winning that one.
I mean, I would say LA Knight this year, he should be a top 5. Like if you were to make a prediction on who's going to win the Rumble, he's got to be one of the guys, I would assume.
He was one of the last 4 this year, wasn't he? He was one of the final 4.
Like I would have him as a pick, Breaker as a pick. I'm trying to think who else. Who?
Drew,
McIntyre. Maybe Gunther. I would like to see. Yeah. I'd like to see LA Knight honestly win the Rumble. I'd like to see that guy.
I would too.
Win a world title in WWE before I think he's got a couple more years, but better do it soon.
And by the way, speaking of titles, a world title changed hands tonight.
Oh Lord!
We have a new NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, you're talking NWA. Okay, I thought you were saying something in NXT.
Silas beat Tom Latimer.
Really?
Also known as Mr. Camille.
Okay.
Tom Latimer, is that? What's his name?
Tom Latimer. Wasn't he Bram in TNA?
Bram.
Yep.
Was he married to Charlotte at one point?
He was married to Charlotte Flair. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
He's currently married to Camille.
That's right. Yeah. He likes volleyball. No, Camille was a softball. No, she was a volleyball player too, right? Or a softball player.
She's also a softball player. Very good softball player.
So yeah, he likes the college athletes. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Jade Cargill better watch out.
There was one.
No, Jade's married to a former MLB player. So
yeah, I think he played for the Red Sox actually at one point.
Well, there was one title change tonight
Brandon
in
Phillips.
NXT.
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah, JC Jane won the NXT Women's title back from Tatum Paxley. Everyone else tonight, because it's a 2-night show, they're having another night next week. Everyone else retained their titles. Ethan Page and Chelsea Green defeated Joe Hendry and Thea Hell for the mixed tag titles from AAA. Blake Monroe retained her women's North American title, defeat Soruka. Dark State retained their tag titles against Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Everyone else is fighting next week. Zarya and Fallon Henley for the speed title, which is a stupid belt. Kalani, Jordan Grace, and Li Ying Lee fighting for the knockouts title next week. Jackson Drake and Sean Legacy and Evolves fighting for the Evolve title. Kendall Gray and Laney Reed fighting for the Evolve women's Evolve title next week. And then they're just having Trick Williams and Miles Bourne 1-on-1, no title match. They just randomly added that for next week as well.
I got to see the WWE ID title defended. Have you heard of the guy Cappuccino Jones? You heard of him? I was pretty impressed by him.
Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, the WWE ID champion. I think he's gonna be somebody. He had a match at Beyond Wrestling, and I forget who he wrestled. And if the Beyond guy won, he got a WWE ID contract, and they killed it. And I was like, I'd never seen this kid before, and I was like, I think this is gonna be somebody. So.
All right. I'm out. I'm
All right,
done.
guys.
I'm wore
I could do
out.
this all night, so it's good
Yeah,
talking.
Yeah.
I gotta shower up and eat because I am exhausted. But
I got you. Good talking
All
to you
right.
guys.
I'll see you
thank
guys
y'all for
soon.
tuning in. See y'all next week.
All right. Take it easy, guys.